Right, we're back. And I've got my new friend Dash in here.
Yeah, you almost already said, call me Zach. I was like, are you trying to back out of this friendship that we've already agreed upon here?
I always ask people, particularly if they've got a name that I've seen on paper. I've said it in my head, but I've never said it out loud, so I don't want to come across as an idiot. I always kind of ask guests beforehand, but we skipped the Zachary and we've went straight to Dash. So
Yeah, it's
we're
actually
best
my
buds now.
middle name is, technically on my birth certificate, I have a hyphen because I don't have a middle name. And so when I was growing up, my mom, when she would get mad at me, she would say, ZacheryDash, come here right now, even though that wasn't really my middle name. And it kind of stuck. And so whenever I first started Twitter and everything, people thought I was promoting the Dash coin. If you remember the OG Dash coin back then, I'm like, no, it's my nickname, middle name.
That's when you know you're in real trouble, when you get the full name.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you run the other way. But yeah, why don't you kind of fill us all in? What's he kind of let's go back. I got some bad comments about asking people about their kind of origin story and a bit of background, but I like it personally. So whoever that was in the comments, you're gonna have to grin and bear it. I want to hear a little bit of background.
Well, I can make it decently entertaining if you want to. I could speed run through my origin story because I'm fascinated in hearing how other people got into crypto personally. It's like we all have such different backgrounds, and like nobody studied crypto growing up. Like, so we're all kind of like these mutants from different industries. So I'd be happy to kind of go through that if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So I like to start off my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle origin story would be 2017. So I'd always been a serial entrepreneur, never had any huge successes, but a few along the way. I made a social network in 2015 that ended up becoming the largest social network for random acts of kindness. It wasn't meant to ever kind of make a lot of money, but I learned a lot about creating and building and communities and stuff like that. But we fast forward to 2017, the same day that I proposed to my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and now she's about 25 feet in the other room and she's pregnant. We actually have a baby that's due here in 2 months. The same day that I proposed to her, I quit my 9-to-5 job. I had studied sport management of all things, and I thought I liked it, and I did like it, but I knew that there was a bigger passion for me out there in the world. So the same day I quit, I was going to teach myself programming because I'm like, I'm a builder. I need to be able to code. And I got about 2 months into trying to teach myself programming. And although I can technically code a little here and there, I realize it's not really my true strength. It's not my superpower. But during that time, I learned about Ethereum. I came across Ethereum and I was like, whoa, I can publish this code, and I don't have to run a server. That's actually what got me really excited. I was like, I can publish it and the blockchain just keeps it running and I don't have to keep it up. And so that's actually I came in through Ethereum more than Bitcoin originally. And I just became obsessed with Ethereum. And then I bought an ETH, like I'll buy one ETH. And then this was 2017. So it like doubled pretty quickly. And that's that moment that a lot of people have where they're like, why did the number go up? What is money? What is value? And you start to question everything. And so that was, unfortunately, it takes a lot of people making money to question reality around them. And then a lot of people get burned and then they leave. But some portion of people, after they get burned and the inevitable bear market, they stick around. So 2018, I knew I wanted to work in crypto. I started volunteering my time for any crypto project who would take me. I said, you need business development, you need a logo, branding, marketing, kind of whatever skills I had. And this was before DAOs were really a thing. So it wasn't like you could just pop into a Discord server and like start contributing. These were in the old days where it was still kind of centralized and corporatized a bit. But I eventually got to work for a few companies. But my first big boy job, I would say, is 2018. I got to help build and scale a crypto specific marketing agency. So 2018, if you were around and other people listening, it was the time that like we had just deflated off the top of the Bitcoin, like blow off top at like 20K or whatever it was. But there were still all these like altcoin projects that thought they should still be able to raise $50 million for like blockchain for bananas white paper. They were just like delusional. And so throughout 2018, I saw about 75 clients come through our doors. Some of them were doing ICO, some of them were not. They were just like regular good projects. And we had we grew that to a 33 person remote team. And you and I were kind of talking a little before the chat, how the power of remote teams. And so I really learned about decentralization, at least in the workforce. And that really gave me basically my foundation understanding of crypto. I basically got paid to learn how to market in crypto and how not to market in crypto. And so I did that for a year. And then I got kind of bored of turning other people's visions into reality. And I'm like, I want to build my own thing. So I literally, the bottom of the bear market, 2019, Bitcoin was at $3,500 actually. Sentiment was an all-time low. If you went on to our cryptocurrency on Reddit, like even the OGs were like, I don't know if we're going to make it. Actually, the OGs are always OGs and they'll say we're going to make it. But the sentiment was very, very low. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to build something. So I literally, with my very limited technical abilities, put a very short smart contract together, which was just a token. And I decided to just airdrop all of these tokens for free. Airdrops are pretty common now, but back in the day, if you ever saw an airdrop, it might be like 5% or 10% of the supply. But we actually airdropped like 90% of the supply, all that we could, to just get the project, just get into the hands. We didn't raise any money or anything like that. And it caught a lot more attention and awareness than I had expected. And it built this really crazy, cool community around it. And a bunch of people that came in that loved the idea of building in crypto, experimenting, trying to just manipulate smart contracts in a good way, not in a bad way. And so that was really fun learning experience. Again, the community grew so much. I had some of my own growing pains as an entrepreneur on like how to interact with and scale this thing. Excuse me. But then we realized that this community around us was actually the bigger value of everything that we built, the humans around it. And so we launched in late 2019, what you can see here, this is called Block Zero. So Block Zero Labs is a DAO. The best way to think of it is a decentralized venture studio. So most people are familiar with like Y Combinator or some of these other accelerators. Those accelerators will like take pre-existing companies and then accelerate them. The venture studio model is basically the opposite, where from day one, from the logo to conceptual to development, operations, marketing, you basically do everything together as the DAO. And the premise is, let's build a bunch of really crazy ideas that are probably not going to work, a bunch of experimental technology that we think is going to work, we're excited about, but it might not. And of the ones that we build, there's sure enough to be one that arises from the ashes that we are going to eventually double down on. So after a few years of, I would say, tinkering, we realized that Flashstake was and that's the one I got on the shirt here, is the protocol that had the most signal from our community that this is really, really cool and interesting, and we want you to explore it. So about 1 year ago, we decided to take everybody within Block Zero DAO and focus specifically on Flashstake. We've been doing that for a year now, and fast forward to today, now I'm meeting with you to talk about it a bit. So hopefully I went through that quick enough for you.
Yeah, I love that. For recurring listeners, I apologize for the question I'm going to ask, but it's something that I think about near enough every hour, every waking hour of every day. What did you learn in the past life leading up to what you're doing with Block Zero about crypto marketing? What is it that distinguishes itself from kind of traditional Web2 companies or e-commerce brands? And because I'm still trying to put my finger on it. How do you do it ethically? How do you do it open, but still get the desired outcome that you want? Obviously, you can't have the transparency of kind of traditional data and demographics and things like that you would through if you were launching, let's say, like an e-commerce brand or something like that. Like, how do you kind of think about that? It's like, because I'm asking absolutely everyone. We had Andrew Saunders from Arbitrum, even though he's left now. Just asking anyone and everyone to just get their perspective on it and try to
Yeah.
formulate a full plan and idea around it.
Yeah. So I think I have an idea to where to take this question, but just to clarify the question first, really kind of differentiate how is it different to build and market a Web 2 company versus a Web 3 company? Is that like the underpinning core? Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think it's really a good question because whenever I said I was in that marketing agency, a lot of Web 2 companies were coming to us with their first entry into Web 3. And I'll tell you, a lot of them came in with the suit and tie mentality, and then trying to force feed that. And so Web3, it's kind of like that meme with the guy, Steve Buscemi or whatever. He's like, hey, cool kids, or whatever it is, where
I love fellow kids.
you can't, and you see some people doing this with AI today, just like throw AI in there, and it's like, hey, we're cool now. But the crypto community is so, they can sniff that, like they have a nose like crazy. They can see through that you're just here to make money. And so I think in Web 2, authenticity was important. In Web 3, it's like times multiple of 3 authenticity is important. I think the other, I heard somebody say this recently. I think it was Luca from the founder of Pudgy Penguins. He basically said building in Web 3 is like running a public company, or the expectations of a public company with the resources of a startup. so you get kind of the worst of both worlds. And so a lot of people that will push them away. But the best of both worlds that you get is, and I think the single thing that separates Web3 from Web 2 is community ownership in a vision. And that doesn't always have to be a token. But I've been building Web 2 startups my whole life, and I had some nice successes. And I had never built, I say nice, but nothing big. I come into Web 3, I code a very simple smart contract. I put it into the world, and within 3 to 4 weeks, we had created a multi-million-dollar market cap like project that could, in theory, build into existence. So what was I doing wrong in Web 2 that eventually got right in Web 3? And I actually don't think it's a wrong versus right. I think it's more that Web 3 has different superpowers and downfalls as well than Web 2. So that's a high level. Strategically, what Web 3 companies, I think, or Web 2 companies trying to get into Web 3 don't realize is how much of it is truly grassroots, individual level. Like yesterday, I noticed there was somebody in Discord who has been helping out randomly, and I decided, hey, I'm just going to get on a call with you for 15 minutes and just say thank you. Like little things like that. I'm not saying Web 2 companies don't do it, but just in Web 3, the relationship with the community is exponentially more important, in my opinion, as you scale. And so I kind of try to give some tactical advice in there, but I think that's the core of it. That how I look at the difference in Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, great answer. And it's a great analogy about having like a publicly traded company with a budget of a start. What with the community demand side, is that a blessing and a curse at times? Like, are there kind of pros and cons that jump out immediately? Because obviously there's, hopefully you don't have a community base that are asking kind of when marketing and when token and all this kind of thing. What's the kind of pros and cons that you do see that from like an early stage project?
Oh yeah, it's not for everybody. I think it's hard. It's hard because I think of whenever you enter crypto, inherently there's money involved. When there's money involved, there's emotion involved. So the first year or two of my life, I really had to of my journey in crypto. Whenever you do something, you are taking on a responsibility that you didn't tell people to put money in this protocol. You didn't tell people to buy this token, but they alone would rather you be the issues of their problems than their own economic decisions. And I had to realize that, like me talking to you right now, some people might go follow Flashstake in the future and whatever, and I can't stop that. And that's really unfortunate that I can't do that. So what I had to start doing is, there's really are two types of community members. I really, there's not a lot in the middle. There's like the people that'll join the Discord, and there's like, you won't see them again after a week. They'll be the loudest, they'll be the most emotional, and they're just gonna, and some of them will just, they'll get out of your project and still haggle you for many years. I've received even though we've never raised any capital, even though we've always done airdrops, even though we've done any of that, as a founder, you should expect all of the bad things. That could be death threats, that could be legal scrutiny, that could be like everything under the sun. So it's not as glorified as a lot of people put it or think that it could be, but it does come with, it's kind of like having 25 children, like in real life. That's going to be hella hard. But it's going to be 25 times as rewarding eventually down the line, that you have this deeper connection. And if the WAGME kind of meme, like if we can actually build something, it's going to be that much more meaningful to the people that stuck out with you. And that's my favorite thing. I told you my story kind of started in 2019. That community, I would say, I still have lifelong friends, at least 10 of them, that have stuck with me in the ups and the downs and the all around. So it's not for everybody, but if you do it, just get ready for the good and the bad.
Great answer. So it was a great intro. So can you give us a high level of what is Flashstake for some people who might not have used that? I'm pretty sure it will have came across a lot of people's timelines over the past couple of weeks, because it's starting to find some really, really great product market fit. We can get into why that is and what the beauty of that is. But if you could give us a high level, and then we can start digging down a little bit deeper, that would be great.
Sure. So the super buzzwordy marketing one-liner is the time travel of money. That's the terminology we'll use to kind of get people intrigued and like, okay, what the heck does that mean though? So essentially in crypto, anybody listening to this, you're probably earning crypto in some part of DeFi. So yield farming, you have the LSDs that are making a big splash or have been making a big splash. You have the lending markets, you have trading fees and LPs, whatever it is, you're getting yield from somewhere. And basically what Flashstake does is, instead of earning that yield block per block, you can earn all of the yield that you would have earned in the future and earn it today. So an example would be, if you're on Aave, you got some stable coins and you're earning $100 a day. At the end of the year, what is that? $3,600 or whatever it is, $365, whatever it is. So with Flashstake, you can, well, actually, that would have been $36,000, wouldn't it? Anyways, you would Flashstake it, and you could earn that $36,000 instantly and upfront. Now, you will, if you want to keep your principal locked up, you can still wait. So what's really cool with Flashstake is you can do this for 1 day's worth of yield, 6 months worth of yield, 1 year's worth of yield. And that's the basic premise. So the use cases we're still learning every single day. But some examples would be, like, I'll speak for myself. I have some bills that I needed to pay, actually tax bills from like last year. And I'm like, I don't want to sell my crypto. So I basically Flashstaked some of my ETH, took the upfront yield and pay my taxes from last year. That was super meta, but that one was cool. Some people, they like the idea of like leverage, but they don't like the risk that comes with leverage, and you can get liquidated, you can lose your money. So with Flashstake, you can take your upfront yield and then go do whatever else you want. You can buy more crypto, you can buy an NFT, you can take it over to GMX and do whatever you want with it. So it's kind of like this de-risked, leveraged position that you can take. And then another example would be like, say I'm a DAO and I have ETH and I don't want to spend my treasury, but I want to pay for contributors. You could Flashstake the ETH and then take that money, and now contributors are getting paid and the DAO is not having to spend any of today's money. So those are some examples in a high level overview of Flashstake. Is there anything I can clarify from that?
Yeah, so I suppose what I can imagine a lot of people are asking, all shouting down the phone or their laptop or whatever, wherever they're listening from. So where's the yield coming from up front, and how does the protocol recoup that if it's paying it out from the initial deposit?
So to clarify the last statement there, we are never using initial deposits to pay the yield of others. So this is not the protocol. So a few statements I can make. The protocol is never, I guess I'll say it this way. The protocol is always over collateralized. So meaning at any point in time, if you want to pull out your principal, you can pull out your principal. So we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. So just to clarify that. What's actually happening is whenever we basically have created a marketplace between two people, the people who want money today and the people that are wanting to make more money over time in the future. So if you do a flash stake, what's actually happening with your money, you will be selecting a flash stake time vault is what we call it. And depending on which one you choose, that will tell you where your money is going. So you can choose Lido, you can choose Aave. We have also a synthetics one as well. And your money is basically going over to those protocols, sitting there. You can still withdraw it, but it's sitting there and it's generating yield block per block. And as it's generating yield, you have now, as a flash staker, given up on all of the yield that generates going forward. In exchange, you're wanting money today. You're kind of locking in guaranteed money today. So where does the money today come from? Well, basically, as I mentioned, there's a marketplace, people who are trying to make more money over the long run, who are providing that upfront yield. And so in our system, if you look up on the documentation, you can find something called F tokens. And so basically every token has an F token. So USDC has an F USDC token, ETH has an F ETH token. And the people that are buying those are giving up the money that you are claiming today. And in return, those F token holders have the rights to your future yield. So they do well and they profit in a few different ways. If interest rates go up, they've essentially sold you money today that's going to be worth more for them in the future. So they've made money from interest rates rising. There's also trading fees. So you can LP your F token and get some trading fees, just like regular Uniswap trading fees. And then today, there's also several mining opportunities to, if you take your F ETH token, you can go and stake it and earn some additional fees. So long story short, we've created a marketplace, people who want money today, people who are willing to wait. People who want money today are getting money from the people who are willing to wait. The people who are willing to wait are taking all of the risk, all of the reward, all of the volatility. You taking the upfront yield are taking zero the risk, zero the volatility, and then locking in a fixed rate upfront yield.
Beautiful. Tell me, shall I bring it up? For anyone who's listening on YouTube, we'll bring it up and kind of walk through it, and then
I think put in the visuals out there, we'll start to connect some dots.
Let me see, entire screen. There we go. Da-da.
Inception.
See if I can get right. So we'll use Stake Thief. Very topical. Everyone's LSD mad at the minute. So yeah. So what are we looking at here? Can you talk us through it top to bottom?
Yeah.
And,
so our number one goal was to make this as uniswappable feel. So like AMMs were popular before Uniswap came in. Or they were not popular. They existed before Uniswap, but Uniswap packaged them up that made it to where your grandma could use Uniswap and it's intuitive. So what you see here is just like Uniswap, but there's an extra variable here, which is time. So you can, just like in Uniswap, let's put in 50 or 10, whatever it is you want to do here. So put in 50, and then you can choose the duration of, I think, up to 1 year. You can also choose this down to 1 minute. So if you click days and then like whatever you want, just to show it's possible, you can choose 1 minute do 1 hour just to show. So what's actually happening here is you're choosing the amount of tokens you want to stake and for the duration that you want to stake them. And then That's kind of a small amount. So just for simplicity, let's go to the days, actually hours, and change it to days. And then let's just do a year because it'll make the APYs very easy. And I guess just make it easy. Let's do 100 STEs because that's like super easy to calculate. Sorry, I keep changing this on you. So what's actually happening is your STETH is going to be basically keep earning yield in Lido. But you behind the scenes, I can get into the magic behind the scenes in a second, but what's actually happening is when you approve and you click Flashstake, all within one transaction, you are going to be receiving 6.84 worth of WSTETH. We had to do that for some technical reasons, but basically, so now you have this 6.8 WETH you can do whatever you want with, and then your 100 STETH, basically, you can unlock it. So like say you get 3 days into this, you're like, I want to unlock that. I didn't like that I did that. You can basically unlock it, except you just have to pay back some of your upfront yield that you received. So it linearly decreases. So eventually, if you do wait 365 days, you don't have to pay back anything, and you can unlock the 100 STETH in full. So I'll take a pause here. Is there anything so far to this point that I can clarify?
That's perfect. Super simple. And I love I had this conversation with someone the other day about the first time I landed on Uniswap. And I was like, yeah, this is completely idiot proof.
Yeah. And that's kind of the goal. It does come with trade-offs though. So what you'll notice some of the trade-offs. So you're probably familiar with Pendle Finance. I think they did. So there's how to look at, to me, I look at it as a demand side and a supply side. Demand side is the people that are flash staking. What we've chosen to hide on all of the things here is all the supply side. It's all of the complex stuff. And that comes with trade-offs because I think Pendle did a really, really good job. They basically made a product around the supply side. So like you have YT tokens, PT tokens, maturity dates. You can see the charts and the graphs. And one of the trade-offs that, with any marketplace like Uber, do you focus on the supply side or the demand side first? Do you focus on people wanting rides or the cars? Airbnb, people selling theirs. You get the idea. So we've made a bet here that the demand side is where we're making, and we have a lot of work to do on the supply side to help supplement this. If Pendle and Flashstake could have a baby, it would be beautiful. But that's basically what we're trying to do next. And so to get to that supply side, if you click this little gear icon here in the top right, and you go to advanced mode, so you're on Flashstake now, so nothing has changed, but choose stake for a second and choose 100 STETH. Again, put in the same thing, and I'll put in 365 days. So basically what this is that F token I was talking to you about earlier. If you wanted to take the counterparty to this, you could mint basically these F tokens, and so that's minting them. And so basically now you're speculating on yield rates. You can stake them in some other places, but now go to the Flash Burn tab here, and then choose 90. Put in 90 here. That's what you just minted.
That was what I was
and
doing.
then you'll see that this should basically come out to 6.8. So the way to look at it is that top left tab, Flashstake, is basically combining stake and then Flash Burn. It's like minting and then burning it all in one transaction. Yeah.
So can we go a little bit deeper on that then? So if this was offering, what was it offering? Let's have a look. For maturity of 365 days, we can get 6.84 upfront. So, because I've been messing around with this and I've been messing around with Pendle, so I'm I'm super interested in this, and I've got my own reasons.
I was actually using Pendle last night as well, so this is good timing.
So where would the yield speculators come in? And obviously, post Shanghai, do we see staking participation increase? Does that reduce yields over time? What can we see that the market's pricing in off the back of that? Because I think that's what I've been really, really interested in, just having a look at what maybe the implied yield will be further out at maturity, and then kind of gauging what's going to potentially happen or what the market's pricing in is going to happen to yields around it. So So yeah, what is the APR here telling us now about what we can expect in, I don't know, 365 days compared to where we're at now?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, um, obviously, I neither of us can like directly
Yeah.
know what the interest rates will be, but the reason that you see 7% here, and I think on the open market it's like 4.9 or something you can get on Lido,
Yep.
is because we are, for temporary launch, we had some extra bonuses. So basically, it's driving the APYs a little higher. We do not expect that to keep the APYs here at twice as much basically you can get on Flashstake right now. Our thesis is over time for Flashstake to be fully sustainable, the interest rates will need to basically become equal to or maybe even lesser than what you can get on the open market, because that delta between, like, for getting money today you should be willing to pay a discount, like, or get less money because you're getting money today. But to answer your question, I think you were trying to ask, like, what do I think the yield rates are going to happen in Lido, or like how would you play this, or can you clarify the question
Yeah.
to maybe I can provide a
Yeah.
better.
What are you, obviously, with inside the community, things like that? What are you kind of seeing that people are speculating around, like
Mhm.
following Shanghai and interest rates and kind of future interest rates and things like that? What's the mood in the camp around it?
Yeah, so maybe I can answer this with an example of what we saw somebody do with GLP, which in Pendle, which was really interesting. So they saw that our
I
interest
saw
rates
this. This was great.
yeah, our interest rates were higher than Pendle. So somebody did with GLP, actually, they did a flash stake with GLP, and then they took the upfront yield, and then they went to go buy the upfront yield on. They used that upfront yield to go buy yield tokens on Pendle. So what this would mean is, like, let's just say our APY was 5% higher than what you can have on Pendle. They took that money and then they bought APYs that were 5% cheaper on Pendle. So this is basically like next level. They took upfront yield and then used it to speculate on interest rate, and they basically immediately got a better rate because, yeah, it's just next level. I'm not sure, I guess you saw that thread on there. So
It
that's what,
was it
yeah,
was it was so smart. Like it was
yeah.
such a smart move. I'm too busy trying to kind of explain protocols
Well,
and
if it
interview
makes you feel
founders
better,
and stuff like that.
we didn't even see things like that coming. But that's what we're so excited when you build
Wow.
a primitive. It's like the things you could do with this are just like next level. If we can at least get it to scale, right now it's a little limited because you can only have so much liquidity. But it's how people are going to eventually, in a positive way, manipulate this is going to be really interesting. I'll say for myself, um, I think I'm really interested in interest rates on stable coins, because stable coins, you can basically lock in, like, go to GLP and then choose like USDC here. Yeah, so you can basically mint FUSDC, and in a bull market, people are getting levered up like crazy, right? And so they start to borrow, and that drives interest rates up. And I don't think that they'll be sustainable at the Luna levels like that they were before, but
I hope
I
not.
do think they'll be higher than they are now, and it's kind of a zero risk play, because if you mint a bunch of F tokens, you're still keeping your principal. You can't lose any of your principal. So if interest rates double or triple, you basically doubled or triple your money without any risk to your stablecoin. So that's what I can't give financial advice, but I'm playing around
Mhm.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I say, there's a million and one ways people could use this. If they've got stables sat idle in the treasury, they're going to be there for a while. Why don't they go ahead and go and put them to good use? It's honestly fascinating. I've been down this rabbit hole for the past 2 weeks. I've been trying to explain it internally with a lot of people in the Blockmates Discord, and we've been going back and forth on strategies and stuff like that. I do think as the market smartens up and jumps on board with this and liquidity deepens, that everything will, as you say, fall back in line through arbitrage, and people will be spotting these opportunities across the thing. But I just think it's better overall for for the likes of yourselves to have like a really efficient protocol around that. So super impressive. Can we get on to, I know we touched upon it a little bit there, but with what's happening with Flashback at the minute? So can we talk us through this aspect of the UI?
Yeah, so a flashback is the opposite of a flash stake. So in a flash stake, you get all of your yield instantly and upfront. We actually created a flashback as a problem, or as a solution to our own problem that we had. And this is basically if you're a new protocol and you have a new token, it's very low liquidity, it's very volatile. Um, how do you seed that without adding extra downward pressure? So liquidity mining, you get like mercenary liquidity providers, and they just come in and come out. So what this does is we're like, what if instead of a flash stake, the reward is paid on the back end, and so in this example, let's just put in like 10 LP tokens here, and you can choose, just like on the flash stake, you can choose, days, or you can do it for a year. And what this is showing is if you wait a full year, you will get that many flash tokens. However, what's really cool is if you can back out at any point in time with no fee, nothing to pay back, you just will forego this 1,000 flash tokens. So it's like a very more fluid and flexible route. And so the psychology of this is interesting. Like if you get halfway through a year, it's like, am I really going to lose out on all of that? And so we found some of the stickiest liquidity you could ever have. Like it's really interesting. And so what's cool is like we built this for ourselves, but we got so much intrigue by this, like other protocols could use this, right? So like to bootstrap their own liquidity and get off the ground. And it's obviously worked decently well for us. Like we're no longer where we used to be in terms of like our project and TVL and our token. So what we've been exploring is like, can we wrap this up and allow other protocols to use this technology, and then take like a small percentage fee for just using our front end or whatever it is, and then that goes back to the Flash treasury. So that is a flashback. It is the opposite of a flash stake. Get your yield on the back end, back out at any point in time, just give up your yield.
Why is nobody doing this? It seems like, but particularly the kind of DeFi summer days and when they alt L1s and things like that was spinning up. I remember just like the really mercenary days, particularly on the likes of Avalanche, and like Trader Joe got farmed to death, and that mercenary capital came in. Just it's kind of a give value, get value situation. If you're willing to park your capital with us and be an LP for a longer duration, then we can kind of guarantee you this kind of fixed yield within the Flash token in and of itself. It just makes it's a complete no-brainer.
Yeah,
I don't get why people aren't using this.
Yeah, and you can actually. What's really cool is we've been talking about liquidity providers till now, but I can send you the link for this. But on this most recent Flash Forward forum, we talked about things that we think are cool. What if you did this not just with an LP token, but with like, let's say on Compound, you know how you get C tokens? C.
Yeah.
So if Compound wants to incentivize long-term TVL, they could put C tokens in here and C USDC. And now they're basically, we like to think of it more like a loyalty program, because you're rewarding the people that are loyal to your protocol. They only get paid if they stay, if they like pass a certain mission. All right, you made it 92 days, you made it to the 92-day club, and you unlock extra rewards. So our theory is, in the same way that projects pay for liquidity, they subsidize that. Projects in the future will have a budget for loyalty to retain. I mean, Starbucks, airline, like everybody has these loyalty programs to retain their users. Crypto, you don't really see that as much, like in a organized way. So basically what I'm saying here is you can do this with LP tokens, or you can do this with any token. We actually talking with Shapeshift, and they were like, yeah, we want to add this to the Fox token, where you could lock up Fox and reward their long-term holders. So yeah, there's so many different ways that you could play with this.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for, as you say, with money markets. I know the Tapioca DAO guys, they're going to incentivize people to lock liquidity on their platform, and the longer you lock and the more capital you lock, they're gonna actually give those LPs an option to buy their token at a discount. So I'd love to see this innovative way that people are getting over this mercenary capital, farming down, align incentives with people who want to be around. And if you're an LP as well, let's be honest, there's no point LPing for 3 or 4 days. you want to have that patient capital and go the long term. So if you're gonna buy into it, why not get paid a little bit extra? I think that's really good.
Completely agree.
Yeah, I always tend to find a great LP position and then see something shiny happens in this space and then remove the LP at a loss and then try and chase the shiny thing.
But if you
I'm
had to
sure
have
other
that
people do.
second guess, I'm like, do I want to lose my yield or not? So yeah. And just to give a little alpha to the community, our next strategy that we're working on for flash staking is LP tokens. So so one thing that we noticed when we launched GMX that Flashstake did really well at is people liked it because with GLP, the interest rates are going all around, right? They can go up and down in a day. So another thing that's very unpredictable, just like that, is liquidity positions. You can make tons of fees and then like zero fees, like on a day-to-day basis. So imagine if you could flash stake 6 months worth of LP fees and basically know I can take this money now and maybe offset and permanent loss if something, I don't know, whatever you want to do. So that's the next big, and Lido is a huge, but the next kind of biggest pool is like AMMs. And so if we can create a solution for that, we're really excited to do that.
That makes sense for if you were to get a little bit more kind of longer tail assets that were launching and had protocol and liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a hell of a lot of sense for them to be able to do something like that as well.
Yeah, and what's cool and I didn't really talk about this, how Flashstake is built is anybody, you have to be able to code, but anybody can create a flash staking strategy. So it's not like a permissioned protocol where, technically anybody can. We actually had a previous core developer at SushiSwap come in and made a custom time vault on Flashstake, and you can choose any input tokens, you can choose any yield source, you can choose any output tokens. So we really made it flexible so that eventually developers can come to this, and kind of like with Yearn, where they're incentivized to create really good strategies. Right now, it's a little more difficult because we need better documentation, but right now you can actually come in, and if you create a strategy that people use and you say, I want to take 2%, it's pretty lucrative, of 2% of all the yield that's produced through this strategy. So we're excited to see kind of what builders build in the future.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be kind of like I've seen a lot of kind of social tradings pop up. I spoke to the stake guys who are building on top of Trader Joe, like a liquidity book optimizer, and they're gonna have, so effectively similar to what you were saying, in the sense where you can get the communities to suggest strategies around like a specific range or a specific shape on liquidity book on Trader Joe, and then incentivize them by taking a little bit of a kickback. Seen a few people do this, and it makes an awful lot of sense now. But yeah, that'd be super interesting. I'm really excited to see what happens with the LP pairs, particularly if it was Stake Thief ETH and Rocket Pool ETH and all that kind of good stuff, because I think it's going to be a wild old year for those.
Yeah, it's not slowing down anytime soon, huh?
No, definitely not. So where does the fee capture for the protocol come from?
So remember those F tokens we showed you that get minted whenever you do a flash stake? So the protocol never takes any fee at all on the principal. So we really felt strongly we don't want to take that. So the only fee is taken on the F tokens. The fee switch, just like Uniswap has a time switch, Uniswap has a fee switch that they can turn on in the future. We have a time switch, and it's been turned on since day one. And so this can be set from 0% to 20%. And so basically this means anytime upfront yield is F tokens are minted, the protocol takes a 5 to 10% fee. and that goes to the flash capacitor. Flash capacitor is a shout out to the flux capacitor in the Back to the Future movies for anybody who's seen those. And basically, it's really simple and elegant, but cool. So all of the fees, if you do a flash take for USDC, FUSDC is minted, 5%, 10% of that goes to the flash capacitor, and you keep the rest for upfront yield. So now our flash capacitor has all of these fees. It's got like FUSDC, FETH, FGLP, and the only way to get the F tokens, the fees, out is to deposit flash tokens. So what this eventually does over time is flash goes in, it's consolidating all the fees into the flash token, and then the fees are going out to anybody who wants to pay for them. So it's kind of like an arbitrage opportunity. So anytime the fees go to $1,001 and the flash is $1,000, somebody's incentivized to go buy the flash token and deposit it to make like $1 profit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that's phase one. The next question that the community will very much decide together is, okay, we've consolidated all the fees into flash. Now what? What do you do with those? And so there's various suggestions that community members have made. The most 2018 crypto person is like, burn the tokens. I just love to burn them.
Don't do that.
And then there's like distribute them to liquidity providers, distribute them to front end operators so that we can be more decentralized on the front end. You could distribute them through flashbacks, like we just saw. You distribute them to F token liquidity providers. So there's like endless ways now that we have generating. Is how do we best grow the protocol? And so that's kind of going to be top of conversation for anybody who wants to join us on Discord. In the coming weeks and months, we're going to try to work through that.
It's great that you guys have there's some protocols that are really hamstrung with what they could do. And I think it comes down to being a bit lazy with the design of it. But you guys, it seems like you guys have got an awful lot of options there, which is always good. Nice to get those suggestions. I don't really think burning them is the best way to do it. But
yeah, I always have to put on like this friendly face when I hear that, because I was in the same boat. Like literally the first project I created was just about burning tokens. But I think I'm in the same page with you. Is like it gives you a short dopamine hit, and then you're like, okay, well we just burnt money that we could have used to grow the protocol. So.
Yeah. I had this conversation with Protocol the other day. They were like, right, we're going to burn 30% of our treasury. I was like, why do that? Why? Go and see if there's any adjacent projects that could build in or around, or go and do a treasury swap, go and put each of his assets to use. Like there's a million ways you do it. You don't just satisfy the needs of like that's lazy work in my opinion, just banning tokens.
Yeah. I think it gives a short-term hit. I think Binance was doing huge, was it buybacks or burns or whatever it is? It also adds extra legal scrutiny, which isn't necessary. So, but I think the only model that I thought was interesting that gets away with it is the MakerDAO model, the MKR burn. But I still haven't looked at that in many years to see if that's still the most efficient way to do that. But yeah.
So what we mentioned Pendle. I think a lot of people definitely associate you two guys as like you kind of coming a pair for some reason. I've never kind of seen that two protocols that kind of could be seen as a competitor get just tied in and have such great synergies across both platforms. Is it, how do you guys look at that? And is there any kind of other protocols that you're like adjacent to that you think are going to be a great fit over time? Is there any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think I love talking about Pendle, and I've given them so many shout outs because I use it and I like what they're doing. We actually have a Telegram group with the Pendle team, and we actually have a call with them tomorrow. So like we're very much the DNA in the culture of what they're building is very much aligned with us, which is this is a huge, massive market and a sector that is, I think, like pre-narrative. Like it's not even a narrative just yet, but we think it's going to be. And as you've seen on Twitter, people have been managed to use both of these in different ways to get the most out of their money. So we're just, as long as like we're continuing to try to unlock the time value of money for people, then we'll be happy. We do want to explore. So Pendle has some benefits. We have some benefits. Pendle killed it on the supply side and understanding that and separating out the yield token. One thing that we have made a strategic decision on was for us, you can lock down to 1 minute up to 1 year, and you basically choose your own maturity date. On Pendle, they kind of give you some preset ones. And so we think there's lots of ways to like Lego block these together that are still being explored. There are other protocols out there doing, I think one group that we get lumped in together, you said you just met with a few weeks ago, is Alchemix. We actually think of ourselves quite differently than Alchemix. Because with Alchemix, it's more of a loan that you're repaying for yourself, and you don't quite know when you're going to get that back. I actually do use Alchemix myself, and I think it's one of the safest ways to, if you do want to take out a loan, that is what I would suggest. But it's quite different under the hood and how it works and who it's for. I really think you're not going to Flashstake to get huge leverage or anything like that. So we actually have an article created by Ross Booth that goes and breaks down Flashstake as it compares to a bunch of other cool protocols out there. Maybe we can share that. I can send that to you after. But there's this sector, I think, of time-based protocols that are doing lots of cool things that are going to keep popping up that we think.
Yeah, love that. So what we've obviously touched upon Flash token. Is there any other dynamics that come into play there that we haven't kind of covered, just to give people like a complete bird's eye view of the product?
I don't think so. I think that's basically it. There's some cool flashdernaught NFTs that have been created. That one person on our core really, they're pretty cool graphics that you could look into. You can get rewards. We are really exploring. So I guess what I'll end it with this: the big picture vision. I think one thing, some people think that upfront yield might be kind of a smaller sector today, but I like to think about it like in this simple terms. How many people are going to continue to earn money upfront, or continue to earn money in crypto over the long run? Whether that's $1 billion a year or $1 trillion a year, don't know, somewhere in between there. But we think it's going to keep growing. What percentage of those people would rather have their money up front than wait for it? Is that 1%? Is that 80%, 50%? And just between those two numbers, you can see the total addressable market of like what's possible here, because it's not limited to LSDs or AMMs or whatever it is. It's really anything. And so our holy grail moment is whenever Uniswap decides to offer fixed rate yield or upfront yield to their users. Whenever Compound does this, when Aave does this, when Lido does it, are they going to build something for themselves, or are they going to tap into a pre-existing resource? So our goal is to get the protocol to a level of brand reputation, trust, security, that it makes a no-brainer that like, hey, let's just tap into Flashstake. They've done all of the crazy stuff. In the same way that you use Zapier, in the same way you use Twilio, instead of like a company doesn't create their own SMS system, in the same way that projects tap into Chainlink instead of creating their own Oracle. They just tap into things because it's easier and faster. So our big picture vision is eventually all these protocols will Flashstake will be operating on the back end, and you don't even know you're using it. You're not using our front end. You're just using a regular everyday product, and it just happens to be flashed in the background. So yeah, maybe I could end with that big picture down the line vision that we're trying to get to.
Love that. I was going to use the example of gelato and Arrakis and things like that, but yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you very much for coming on. That was really, really, really great. And as I say, if you need anything from us, just give us a shout. Always happy to help out the people who are trying to do the right thing and create cool products. So, yeah, that's about it.
Thanks for having me. Let's connect sometime offline. I'd love to get to know you personally a little better. But yeah, thanks for having me.